Hello Cancer, and welcome to your overview reading for 2019. Happy New Year. My name is Melanie. Today I'm using two different decks of cards. The first one is the Tattoo Tarot deck, and the second card, of which there's only one there, and I use this one here as kind of oracle cards. That's from the Dreamtime Reading Cards deck. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system, and these cards are about connecting with the ancient spirit and nature of Australia. And I read out from the booklet, this booklet here, towards the end of the reading, the meaning of the card that came out for you guys for the overall theme for 2019, which was walkabout, which in this deck is about bare feet. So I'll read what that's about later on in the reading. And yeah, just remind everyone this is a general reading. It may or may not resonate. It may be helpful. If not, just take what you like and leave the rest. That is totally awesome and totally fine. So, there's a whole bunch of cards out there. What are they? The first card representing the past, 2018, sort of the focus of 2018, maybe some lessons you guys learnt last year. The Knave of Coins, or the Knave of Pentacles, came up for you guys, otherwise called the Page. The cards across the top there are different, about 2019 and different areas in your life. So the first card there representing the area of love and relationships for 2019 for Cancers, you have the Strength, and that's reversed. The second card there representing the area of money and finances, you guys have the Ten of Wands. The third card being about work, study, hobbies, you guys have the Tower. The next card along there is the Knight of Coins, otherwise known as the Knight of Pentacles, and that's in the area of spirituality. The final card along the back there representing the area of health for you guys, the Five of Swords came out. The final two cards in the bottom here, about possible obstacles that may come up in 2019, and that's the Eight of Coins, or Eight of Pentacles, and possible helpful tools to maybe of use. For this, you guys have the Queen of Wands. So now I'm just going to go through each of them, starting with the past, starting with 2018. The Knave of Coins, otherwise known as the Page of Pentacles. This card is focused solely on the practical. Last year there may have been some really steady work happening, steady development. There may have been some financial opportunities, a new job that you guys started. This is a card about study, learning, reflecting, instruction, scholarship, the love of learning and knowledge. It's a messenger card as well. It can be a card about getting good news about money or finances or some other sort of support that you were wanting to hear about. It's a card about symbolising sort of hard work and good tidings coming to you as a result of hard work. It's about being new in learning, so the young scholar kind of thing. So maybe last year, I'm wondering if there was a lot of learning going on for you guys, whether that's actual, official, I'm going to say, learning through school, through uni, through college, through a course that you guys did, or that you perhaps learned some new things in a job. You're in a new job and you had to sort of master new skills, use new creative energy. But really this card is about sort of a love of learning coming through and getting sort of rewards from that. So yeah, that may have been the focus in 2018. Quite a reflective kind of card, and a bit of a card of sort of needing to be a little bit mindful of waste and management, or the lack of money management, in that it can be kind of a little bit about luxury. It's pentacles, coins, about practical earthly matters, tangible things, money, finances, stuff like that. So maybe there was some good stuff in that area, but at times there may have been a bit of being a little bit too frivolous with that. But overall, I think this card suggested that 2018 was a year of really loving to learn new things, whether that was study or new job opportunities that came up, and you had to sort of concentrate and reflect on that stuff and get into some practical learning stuff. Moving on to 2019. So the first card in the first area of this reading is about love and relationships, and for that you guys got the Strength card, and that card was reversed. So the Strength card, typically, if it was in the upright position, is about strength, it's about courage, patience, it's about overcoming and obstacles, taming something wild. In this card typically there's the lion, and there's a beautiful woman patting and stroking the lion, so she's kind of taming that wild beast with her inner kind of strength and inner infinite wisdom and power. I mean, this is a card sort of about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, kind of thing. It's about finding your inner strength in a time of feeling burnt out and stressed, taming your inner animal, about gut instincts, the need for order and structure right now. Sort of the beauty seeing beyond the beast kind of thing, in that the beast is the lion in the card. So this is a card typically of Leo as well, of that kind of inner strength, that having that inner kind of fire and lion. But this is, in this position, this card is reversed. So I guess the opposite of strength is not having strength. It's of weakness, of lack of self-discipline. If this was upright, it would be a card of self-discipline, but it's reversed. So we're thinking about weakness, doubting yourself, not disciplining yourself enough. In love, this card, if it was upright, could represent strength, strength in a relationship, really good physical connection, a good foundation and security between two people in a couple. Boundaries, though, that not being pushed too far. And so because this is reversed, I'm wondering if 2019 there may be some boundary violations or things being pushed around too much. There may be some weakness in this area of your life this year. There may be a little bit too much. I'm just trying to think of the opposite of self-discipline. It's kind of having no self-discipline and just being all over the place with your love life and your relationships, and just kind of diving into stuff without really thinking, and coming from perhaps a weak part of you, not from a place of solid strength and making good choices for yourself, but more about being mindful of not coming from a place of perhaps insecurity and instability, and searching for love or connecting in relationships where there actually is no connection. It's giving you a physical satisfaction perhaps, but there's no real emotional or mental connection. So perhaps just to be really mindful of that this year, to take care of yourself in that regards, and be very reflective in this area of your life. Should new people present themselves, to think hard about whether this is a good person for you. Are they meeting your wants or your needs? Really, it should be about your needs being met, not your wants. Be mindful of boundaries being violated, learning from mistakes, and don't doubt yourself. If there is any doubt or any kind of gut instinct around a person, trust yourself in that regard. Moving on to the second card, area of money for 2019 for lovely Cancers. The card you guys have is 10 of Wands. 10 represents the end of a cycle. So that is good, in that hopefully you're coming to the end of a tricky cycle with your money and finances. This card is about responsibility, about burdens, and about taking on too much stress. It is a card though about it, being the end. So you have achieved something, you've got to the end of something, but there's been a price that you've paid. You might feel like you're in this year fulfilling many obligations and feeling really oppressed by that, having a lot of pressure on you and carrying a heavy load financially, and that is kind of putting pressure on you. You might be taking on the work of others unnecessarily, and in that case I really encourage you to prioritize the needs of yourself and your immediate family, and because there's only so far you can stretch the coin, I suppose. And if this is in the financial area, if you can't pay your own bills, why are you giving out money or trying to help others, as noble as that is, and what goes around comes around? You need to make sure your own stability and security is established first. This is a card too about needing to delegate, to perhaps reassess where things are at, I guess maybe the budget and stuff like that, if you're under a lot of pressure in this area, if you're very busy in this area, if there's a bit of self-sabotage that may be going on financially this year, be very mindful of that. And maybe just really explore, why have you guys, Cancers, got this sort of load of responsibility on you? Are you guys the main breadwinners? And how is that going? Is that putting so much pressure on you that you're cracking under the strain? I really encourage you to look at your values in that sense. Do you value, if you do earning, say, lots of money and having lots of objects, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I just think at what cost? If it's really stressing you out and causing you to have a lot of responsibility in this area that you're not really enjoying, reassess the budget, get back to basics, look at your values. Actually, do you value more time with say your partner than working 60 hours a week just so you can pay the mortgage on a big house that you're never at? That's an extreme example, but things around that, just to maybe peel it back to what's real and what's most important to you if the financial area of your life is getting overwhelming. Moving on to the third card now, across the top there, representing the area of work, study, hobbies. You guys have the Tower, which is a big card, I won't lie. It's a card of sudden and dramatic changes, of upheaval, of revelations, of things kind of shattering your world, events beyond your control, potentially, disaster, chaos. So it can be, plans that have been ruined, but amongst all this kind of destruction and things kind of changing for your own good, this is kind of like bolts from the universe, from the sky. You can see there in that card, change being forced upon you. And it can be quite frightening and quite overwhelming. Perhaps you have been avoiding some change in the area of work or study, or hobbies, whatever. And because you have been resisting that, now change is coming along and being forced upon you. So as scary as that is, that destruction, that Tower moment where things kind of shatter and fall apart and you've kind of been turfed out from your comfortable zone, your comfortable castle there of work, remember that after the destruction, after the dust settles, this is a new opportunity presenting itself. Okay, it's like once the house has fallen down or the building has fallen down, what does that leave? Empty space to start again, to start fresh. Again, I often say this in my readings, a lot of what happens to us is outside of our control, but what we can control is how we manage change, how we choose to interpret and think about things, how we take care of ourselves through times of stress and upheaval. So in that sense, don't fight this, because I think you perhaps have already been fighting something and resisting change, and now it's being forced upon you in the area of work and your occupation or study or some sort of direction in your life in that regard. And now it's happening this year. I guess you could always try to avoid this Tower moment, and if you have been thinking, I need to move, I need to change, or things are so unhappy at work and you've wanted to go but you haven't, you've been afraid of change, totally get that. It is better though to I think, to jump rather than be pushed. You know, so at this point, maybe this is a bit of a warning card to be aware of that. If you see some signs around you that you need to change something in regards to work, do it before the universe will do it for you. I know that's a little bit of a scary card, but don't forget that with every ending is new beginnings, and you've got an ending there too with the Ten of Wands. So and that's in the area of money. Money is obviously really linked to work. That's how we earn money, that exchange of services, exchange of your time really for money. So looks like there's some really big stuff happening this year that may look bad and feel really bad initially, but brings great new beginnings. So I encourage you to grab that opportunity. The next card in the area of spirit and spirituality, faith, there you have the Knight of Coins or the Knight of Pentacles. So this card typically is a card about efficiency, being methodical, perseverance, decency, responsibility, being conservative, being reliable and hardworking, finishing a task. You know, in terms of a knight, this is a young man, someone who's trustworthy, who's brave, who offers help, who's got a sense of duty and a sense of loyalty, who's willing to work hard to get what he wants out of life. It's a card of action, but right now there's sort of not a lot of forward movement. There's kind of looking ahead, but not quite, you know, it's kind of like a slow moving energy. It's a card of financial blessings, the comings and goings of money in a good way. It's also a card about making something new from structures that already exist. So a curious card, I think, to have in the position of spirit and spirituality. I think what jumps out to me, this is a court card, so it could actually be a person in your life this year who is like this, a young man or just a young person who has these kinds of qualities. It could be an earth sign person who helps you in some way or is connected in some way to matters of spirit, matters of faith, your belief system. There is sort of a sense of, maybe duty and loyalty and something that is quite grounding in this area for you this year, you know, in terms of making something new from structures that already exist. Maybe you already have a system, you know, belief system that you have, or maybe you attend, say, a church or, you know, I'm not sure, a group, you know, an organisation or something, or you go to services and stuff like that, and you're doing something new within that kind of deepens you further in your connection with the divine, but is essentially quite, I think this energy is quite calm and quite stable, methodical. So I think you're just ticking along in this area this year. My sense is that you have a good grounded connection in your belief system. You know what that is, you know what that's about, and there might be some little movements in that area this year, but mainly through nothing sort of bright, brand new or radical, more just kind of steady growth. And finding perhaps new avenues within what already exists within you in that regard. The last card you have up there regarding the area of health for Cancers in 2019, you have the Five of Swords card. So another bit of a tricky card. You've got a few tricky cards that have come up there. This card typically is about conflict, about defeat, betrayal, tension, mixed feelings, selfishness, deviousness, the need to sort of pick your battles wisely. It can be about brute force and kind of winning through destructive means, you know, like winning a battle, but at sort of at what costs, and sort of attending to only your own interests. This card can be about difficulty in communicating your ideas to others, sort of really pointless battles, and sort of inner battles as well as perhaps outer battles as well. You may have conquered something, but neither you or the person or the people that you're in conflict with have won. So that's the meaning of the card generally. In health, this card can suggest that you're really worrying about something, overthinking, overanalyzing something to do with health and your body, and about the risk of things, kind of thing. And this, that is getting in the way of you actually just being able to enjoy your body, enjoy good health, and enjoy your life, and live in the present moment. This card is saying you're a little bit too much in your head. Perhaps you're a little bit paranoid, or you're a little bit of a hypochondriac in that regard. I've got this ache, I've got that ache. Oh my God, what does that mean? What does that mean? I'm being really swept up in that and just being too much in your head about that. And that's pulling you away. Those kind of fears and anxieties. Oh my God, I'm going to hurt myself, or I'm going to get sick. It's pulling you away from perhaps doing what you really want to be doing, or enjoying the healthy body that you probably do have. By all means, go and get yourself checked out if you genuinely think there is something wrong, of course. But if this is a bit of a theme, and if you feel like there's always something kind of going wrong with you, and then you get it checked out and there's nothing going physically wrong, look inwards. What is that about? Why are you overthinking that so much? Why is there so much anxiety around that, and around health and body concerns? If that is becoming very problematic, I would encourage you to go and seek some help around that, with a therapist, counsellor, dietitian, anyone like that, but someone more who can help you with the overthinking in that area of your life. Moving on now to possible obstacles that may come up for cancers this year. You guys have the Eight of Coins, or the Eight of Pentacles. This card is usually a card about apprenticeship, about learning, about education, about employment, being the craftsman, about work that goes on sort of behind the scenes. It can be a sort of about repetitive kind of work, but work that is quite focused, because if you're an apprentice, you're trying to master something and move up a level. It's a card generally about hard work going on at this time to acquire new skills, to learn something new. It's about gaining wealth through hard work. That focus, that persistence will benefit you certainly in the long term, financially and in a practical sense. It's a card to say don't give up on the path that you're on the work that you're on the overall goal. And whilst things may seem really repetitive, daunting, boring, monotonous, you're still learning things, and you need to take pride in small accomplishments, basically. The need, this is a card about hard work and about determination to succeed. So, and building a solid foundation. What does this mean then? This is in the position of possible obstacles this year. Maybe, I'm wondering if this is certainly in the area of work. This is a Pentacles card, and that is to do with practical matters, finances, as well as job, businesses, enterprises, careers, stuff like that. Remember that you guys have the Ten of Wands and the Tower cards there in the area of work and money. And now you've got the Eight of Pentacles coming up as a bit of an obstacle. So if there is a dramatic change in your work, and that may throw a spanner in the works financially, and maybe in your work you're feeling quite bored, and that you're like, I'm not getting anywhere. There's a sense of sort of repetition and stuff, and that you're maybe having to learn new things, or maybe with the Tower card turfing you out of the line of work that you're in now. you're having to go into a new job, and sort of you feel like a bit of an apprenticeship again, an apprentice, or like a learning new stuff again, and sort of in a different role, and you really don't want to be there, or you're resentful perhaps about being there. Just to be mindful of that, because if you do end up in a new place, the Eight of Pentacles card is actually still a very positive card, that hard work and discipline will pay off. So don't be put off. I know it's kind of really saying just to hang in there with whatever new things come up in that area. I think it's sort of saying don't be, I know you want to just resist that if there is change, but this is saying to not do that, just to hang in there, and then the rewards will come, certainly financially again. The final card along the bottom there, the Queen of Wands, representing helpful tools that may be useful for you guys this year. The Queen of Wands can be a actual person, a woman, or someone who sort of represents the energy of this card. She's wands, so she's fiery. She's possibly a fire sign. This is a card or a woman in the card who is charming, magnetic, lovable, the lady of the manor. She can be a little bit snobby, but she can be very warm, very vibrant, has a lot of inner strength and courage and determination, quite creative. The Wands card being about creativity, good at solving problems through creative kind of means. This is about dreaming, but having an eye on the goal in the distance kind of thing. It's about being in touch with shadow sides of yourself as well. This is about being confident and courageous in yourself. The Queen of Wands is quite in tune with herself. She's self-aware. She knows her strengths. She knows her weaknesses. She's very social, gets out there, makes connections, shares sort of creative ideas, finds people from a like-minded community. So maybe engaging with other people who think like you, who are kind of your tribe, who have created similar kind of creative ideas that you have, or areas of interest, might be useful this year, or to sort of really, in amongst some of the tough times that may come up, to still remember to get out there, to have some fun, or find someone who is like this in your life, who can be a bit of a beacon in amongst possible challenging times this year, who may be quite supportive and quite passionate, and maybe to help you get on your way in some regards. Finally, I'm just going to read from the little booklet here about the overall theme card there, walkabout, meaning bare feet. So what does that mean? Certainly in relation to this card, or what other messages can we get? So, bare feet. In some parts of Australia, the term walkabout refers to a rite of passage undertaken by a young male. But for me, that's the author, growing up, the term was used by my elders to describe the connection they had to the land. It was a term they used to explain the meditation-like walks they regularly took through their country. These walks were usually done on bare feet and were very meaningful, and were considered an important part of caring for the land they lived on. When we allow ourselves to feel the energy that vibrates up through the earth, we allow ourselves to connect to the ancient energy of this great land. I consider this to be in some ways part of our responsibility. If you do not walk the country that you live on and allow it the opportunity to speak, or the chance for your environment to communicate what it needs, then how are you to know what it is that is needed from you? When you draw this card, it's an indication that it's time to get outside and enjoy your natural world. Take your shoes off, and maybe you could clear your area of local rubbish, or be aware of the impact of you have on the environment. Walkabout is associated with meaning, full connections, time spent outdoors, and allowing yourself to be conscious of the footprints that you leave behind. We are nearly out of time. I think that this card is encouraging you, in amongst some challenging times that may come up this year, to literally step outside, reconnect to earth, get grounded, stay grounded, remember the bigger picture and the perspective, and not to lose sight of that, and to take care of yourself and nourish yourself in that way. So all the best, Cancer. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck for this year.